What's up, everybody? You know what it is. Friday night, 9 o'clock from the forum. We're talking golds and gambles. The players you can't leave without and the ones you got to take the risk on, but they might just win you your league. So hang on tight. We got a good one for you. See you in the show. What's up, everybody? Got a crew in the house tonight. I got Joe, I got Matt, I got Seth, and we are ready to talk some ball. What's up, guys? How you doing? Seth, down there, man, that big old jersey on Southern Bluegrass. What's going on, man?
Yeah, always got to rep the brand. Learned that years ago working radio and now coaching football. You've always got to rep the brand, man. It's a great Friday night. Would rather be doing anything or would not rather be doing anything but this. Glad to be on and talking some football with you all.
Awesome. Glad to have you. Matt, tell us where you're from, where you do content.
So I am a writer at footballguys.com. I primarily do IDP, but I'm a fantasy football junkie. So I'll hop on some live shows for them, do all offense, but then I'll be writing articles for IDP. I am just a football nut, and I'm lucky and blessed to be here tonight.
And you know Joe.
Hey, what's up, guys? How we living? Shout out to my boy Najee Harris, man. Really sorry to hear this news about the fireworks stuff. Hope he makes the full recovery. But, people, just, don't mess with that stuff. Leave it to the professionals, and same with the show. Leave it to the professionals, and that's why we got these guys here. We got another guest coming on halfway through the show. Listen to people what they have to say, and don't make the difficult things difficult. They can make your lives easy, and that's why we brought the crew in tonight.
Oh, yeah. Got some people popping in. Big Draft Energy first to the chat. ALB Flow, just a few more weeks. I know it's ready. Let's get it. Lion Light Worship, so ready for draft season. Michael, let's talk ball, everyone. Glad to be here. Dynasty Fantasy Football Helper, love the title. Super creative, ready to get the gold. Thank you guys for tuning in. Brian, welcome to SBFFC owners. Hey, let's talk about that for a second because tonight's show we are highlighting the Southern Bluegrass Fantasy Football Championships, one of the biggest tournaments this side of Las Vegas. Big time. Seth, you've played in it. You know what's up. I heard there is a $10,000 first prize payout. Is that right?
Yeah, first prize is over $10,000. I've been on it since day one. I've played every year that it's been a thing. And, gosh,
have you ever touched the $10,000 check?
No, they won't let me near it.
This year.
This year's the year. The best I've done is a fourth place finish, which is still pretty good. But I've threatened to body slam a few people, power bomb a few people through some tables. And, Harwood told me, the good doctor said, maybe let's not do that. It's bad for the business.
Well, real quick, we're just going to throw this video up so you guys can know what we're talking about. Again, that is the Southern Bluegrass Fantasy Football Championships. You need to be there so you can take on Seth. He will body slam you in fantasy terms.
I'll body slam you in real terms, too.
That's probably true.
A little moon.
Looking to take your fantasy football experience to the next level? The Southern Bluegrass Fantasy Football Championship, or SBFFC, is the premier live in-person single-entry tournament east of Las Vegas and is happening in Bowling Green, Kentucky, just north of Nashville and south of Louisville. Join fantasy football diehards for a 2-day draft weekend filled with energy, competition, and community. Expect free beer, bourbon, barbecue, and live entertainment hosted by the Western Kentucky University Dance Team. You'll draft on massive FJFantasy.com boards, enjoy giveaways, and even have a chance to win signed memorabilia and bourbon bottles through raffles and a silent auction. The SBFFC is securely managed through LeagueSafe.com, with all prize money held and paid out at the end of the season and championship round. Winners walk away with stunning Trophy Smack trophies and belts, and of course, lifelong bragging rights. To learn more, check out the official promo video on YouTube and click to visit SBFFC.com for full details. For questions or to reserve your spot, email Dr. Brian Harwood directly at brian.harwood@twc.com.
Yes, sir. Speaking of that, Bourbon Fantasy Football. We got a comment over on Twitch, which happens every now and then. I love Bourbon and Fantasy Football. Me too. So let's get into it. If you're in draft season right now, I know I'm drafting in the Scott Fish Bowl right now. I have another redraft league that's kicking up next week. And, people ask me, they say, who are your go-tos? Like, who are the people that you can't leave the draft without? Like, the guys that you're going to reach for. And I've heard so many people, whether it be like somebody taking Brian Thomas Jr. as early as the 1-6 because they knew they wouldn't get him around on the turn. Who are your guys that you think are going to be just staples for your team? Because and Matt, I know you can agree with this, that first pick, those first two picks, and really even that first slate of the draft, you have to get your home runs. Like, you have to get at least 3, I would say, that you can lock in and guarantee. And when you can't, like last year, I lost CMC early in the season in the Kings Classic, which is a big analyst tournament they put on. And I recovered because I drafted really well in the middle rounds. So I had staples in the middle rounds, and I hit on the late. I mean, I got a couple gems late. J.K. Dobbins got me a few W's through the first half of the season. That's usually the route for him first half of the season. But, so we're going to dig into golds here for this first portion of the show. And really we're targeting players 3 through 9 ADP rounds that you're going to make sure that you get on your squads. So Matt, guest, let us, who's your first one?
First guy I chose is old reliable George Kittle, tight end for the 49ers. I think that he is the best receiving option on their team currently. They're going through kind of this metamorphosis. Brock Purdy is now a paid man. Deebo Samuel is off the team. Christian McCaffrey, all things being equal, should be healthy this year. I think we're going to see a different style of the 49ers offense. And I think that George Kittle, at minimum, is going to be the number 2 target earner in that offense. And we have seen him when he is a high-volume player. When he starts to feel himself, he is the epitome of what you want as a dynamic tight end one. And I think we're starting to see his ADP slip a little bit because of the age, because of the wear and tear on his body, and I completely understand that. But the tight end position is deep, and a top-tier tight end is a league winner. There was a series of years, 2 or 3 years ago, Travis Kelce was I think it was like 88% of all leagues that won championships. He was a part of the team or some crazy statistic like that. When you have an elite top-tier tight end, it really does make your team even more versatile. And I think George Kittle you can get in the later rounds as a steal to potentially bring you over the top.
So let me ask you, you say later rounds. I've seen Kittle go, I mean, really on the top side of that, like round 4, round 5. I mean, is that too early to go tight end, or is he that much like of a difference maker dynamically that it's worth taking him over or right there alongside like a Kenneth Walker or, George Pickens is probably much later, but Jackson Smith and Jigba, like somebody in that tier.
So I think that the range of outcomes, I'll use Ken Walker as the example there because I think that's probably a good round that we could see him start to go. The range of outcomes, George Kittle has a realistic shot to finish at the number 1 at his position. And it's a hard position. There are some really good talent at the top tier of tight end. But I think realistically, when you start comparing the players down there like a Ken Walker, I don't see an outcome where Ken Walker finishes the top of the running back list or even really comparable top percentage of that position. George Kittle, we have seen be a tight end 1. We've seen it happen. It's in the range of outcomes. He's going to be probably the safety net for Brock Purdy this year now that we're starting to see all the changes. I think Brandon Ayuk's going to be fine, but they're going to start to wean him back in. So with George Kittle being there, getting all the targets, I can see him just shooting up the board. And 4 or 5, that's the sweet spot for me.
Yeah, well, you're getting some love in the chat. Mike said, Corey said agree on Kittle. Mike said yes. So getting a little Kittle love. By the way, guys, if you're tuned into the show, feel free. We got some great minds in this room. Drop your questions if you have questions, if you have draft questions, or maybe even two people that you're debating between at around ADP. Drop it in there and we'll give you some feedback. Seth, Mr. Body Slam himself, let me know who's the guy that you gotta have, and you will body slam somebody else if they snipe you.
So the guy that when I got the pre-show notes, the first name that came to mind, and he's probably on the upper end of this third and fourth round, but I do see him slip down some draft boards now because of his age, because of what his team has drafted this past year. But it's Mike Evans for me. Mike Evans is a guy that I think is, because of his age, he's 31. Because they drafted the kid from Ohio State. I couldn't say his name if I had to. If you were holding a gun to my head right now, I just couldn't do it. But he is a guy that has averaged 1,000 yards every year he's been in the league. Baker Mayfield loves him. And as a Cleveland Browns fan, I can tell you this. When Baker Mayfield locks onto a target, when he likes a guy, he feeds him the ball as much as he can. He's never had any major health concerns. I know the age, he's getting up there. I know they've went younger, but for me, it's Mike Evans.
I don't mind it. Mike Evans somehow every year there's some narrative, despite every year he gets 1,000 yards, every year there's some narrative that somehow pushes Mike Evans down our draft boards by the time we get to actual draft season. And so you end up getting him in like the 6th or 7th round. And you're like, cool. I got a wide receiver one for over 1,000 yards, almost guaranteed in the 7th round. Love it. So no, that's a good take, Seth. Appreciate that. Got more people popping in the chat, more Kittle love, getting a lot of love on that. Great way to start it off, Monty. Let's see. Big said, I'll body slam anyone that takes Land Larson. Hey, who knows? Joe, who you got, man? Who's your can't leave without?
So my can't leave without, I left without in Scott Fishbowl because I got sniped. And I planned on reaching, and I just couldn't reach far enough. But that guy for me right now is Alvin Kamara. He's currently in ADP looking at like 54, running back 18. Kamara's worst finish since he's come into the league has been running back 16. So like in his worst case, where he only played 15 games, he was running back 16, but he's been in the top 10 for all but 2 seasons he's been in the league. I get that there's a murky quarterback situation. I get that offense doesn't look so great. But if you look at what they're doing with the team, they're going to be running a lot more plays under Moore. He's averaged around 60 plays per game, which is going to put them in the top 6, 7 in the league. So you have a running back who's going to be getting dump offs from either a bad quarterback or an unknown, probably bad quarterback. And then you don't have a lot of receiving talent outside of Chris Olave, who is a health concern. So if he's looking to go in the 5th round, I will happily jump into the 4th to make sure that I leave with Kamara.
I don't hate here's my question, Joe. And this is just, I think that people are wondering this is like, when does the cliff come for Kamara? Because, we saw it with Zeke, right? Like Zeke was that. Zeke was consistent, like top 10, top 15 every season. And then all of a sudden he just falls off. And I say that falls off. I mean, he drops probably 20 spots in rankings, but that's a significant drop off for somebody we're taking in the 4th or 5th round, right? So we're talking about RB 30 something, or probably like 27. But so you're saying that the cliff for Kamara is not here yet, and does the fact that you have young quarterbacks, and young quarterbacks inherently do not protect the receivers, right? Does it worry you that Kamara catches one over the middle and then boom, his season's done?
No, you can't live in your fears when you play fantasy football. And that's why we're talking about guys rounds 3 or later. Like if you're not willing to take Christian McCaffrey in the first 2 rounds, like why do you bother playing this game? So it's like, I'm never going to be like, oh, don't draft this guy because he might not be able to survive the season. Like, oh, don't do this. Like I would rather have Chris Godwin for the 7 games that he had last year, where it was like, hey, like you're in my lineup, you're putting in wide receiver 1 numbers, and then I go and find something and replace that, rather than, oh, like here's this guy that happened to be on the field the whole season and like he was technically RB18, but I never felt great about his performance. Like I think one of the worst things that you can do as a fantasy player is look at what was the total points of the year and like how did that help you? Because if you have, let's take like a couple years ago, the Dolphins put up like a 70 burger on a team, and then it was like everybody and their mother got like 60 fantasy points that year. It's like if your guy scored 100 points on the season, but 60 of it came in one game, like, sure, yeah, he might have on average looked good, but you need to look at like the consistency of which they're performing. Like how often are they performing at like a starter level? And if it's not like 60% or above, like this isn't best ball. Like it's you're trying to get into the playoffs and see what happens. But if they're going to have spike weeks and all these duds, like finishing some number in total points means nothing to me. So give me the wins. I always say, hey, like home field advantage doesn't mean anything in fantasy football. I'm trying to get into the dance, and I'm trying to have the best team when I get to the dance. Kamara is going to help me get 7 wins. Kamara is going to get me 7 wins. I don't know if he's going to last the whole season. I don't care if he lasts the whole season. Give me 7 wins. Give me 13 weeks to get better than everybody else in my league, and I'm going to do that. And then we'll see how the chips fall when the games are played.
Dude, I love that. Like, just get like you think about trying to be undefeated or whatever, just get to the dance. Give
me 7 wins. That's all that I need.
Let's go. I love it. We're getting some more in the chat. Talking about Evans, Egbuka being more of a slot receiver. He's still a value in that format.
Shout out my boy Meatball, by the way. Hope he's good.
Meatball's that guy. Look, Joe is a legend. Not surprised. I love his first must-have. Kamara is a monster. I agree. Mike Evans over under 925. I don't know that you can bet against him for another 1,000. And the cool thing is they're going to let Baker air it out, and they're going to Mike Evans last year, like, there's not much out there. It's him and McMillan, and so he's getting the double teams. You put a Mecca out there, you put a healthy wide receiver core, maybe that frees him up a little bit. And I think we still see some production there out of Mike Evans. What's up, Brian? Hello, all in the chat. Let's go, peeps. I love Kamara. Kamara's just been clutch ever since he 3rd round pick out of Tennessee comes in and just owns it. Let's see here. Stud take. Seth, can Evans get 1,000 yards again? Seth, can he get 1,000 yards?
Until he proves that he can't, I can't bet against it. I mean, literally every season he's been in the league, he's had 1,000 yards. He barely got there last year, but he did get there.
Yeah. Yeah, they got him there. Look at Meatballs even get some love in the chat. Meatball, appreciate you. Glad you're back. So ready for this season.
It's the GOAT.
So, Matt, number 2. Who's your second guy you can't leave without in this draft?
Well, I know everybody in here is sharp because we didn't even make it one rotation before I got sniped by Joe on Kamara. So good pick there, Joe. I'm going to go with Omarion Hampton, the rookie running back for the Chargers.
Wow.
I think situation is everything in the NFL, and you are getting a running back who is going to go into a Jim Harbaugh offense. If you don't know anything about Jim Harbaugh, he is a hyper aggressive oddball. He plays football the old school way. Punch you in the face and defense stop you from trying to punch us in the face. And I think that they are going to, at least prior to the Najee Harris news, have a 1-2 punch that's going to be a run-heavy led team that they're going to pass after they set up the run. Najee Harris firework incident. Let's be real. It's scary at best. Okay, firework, eye injury. Jason Pierre-Paul famously had the firework incident a few years back, and he just never was the same. Now, he was a bit older at the time, but he wasn't also transitioning to a new team and trying to kind of remake himself. So this is a bit of a step back for Najee Harris. I'm thinking of him. I hope he does well. I hope that this doesn't derail anything, but let's be real. Vision is everything for running backs. You have to be able to see the hole and hit the hole instantaneously, and I think that we're going to have to see Najee Harris now to believe Najee Harris. That will benefit the rookie Omarion Hampton to get on the field early and often in a Jim Harbaugh-led offense where there will be schemed runs more so than there will be passes, ignoring the fact that Harbaugh in the offseason did say he had a dream that Justin Herbert was going to be in the Hall of Fame. So we'll see. I think Omarion Hampton is a steal here, and I think that he has heavy running back one upside, especially with the unfortunate news to Najee Harris.
Bro, you can't make that many vision like statements.
Dude, he's got something for everything, and I love it.
Oh man, I was like, does this take have anything to do with the fact? Like you even said, he's like the running back has to be able to see the field, and
that's what I'm saying. There was a lot of that, and I think that they said it was a superficial injury. I'm afraid that Hampton's being overdrafted a little bit, even with the Najee news. I think that Hampton is somebody that I would rather trade for in season because they're not going to give him the reins right away. So if Najee wasn't there, or like he's not playing this year, I think that he would probably go into the second or third round of drafts. He's sitting in like the fourth round right now. I feel like with the murkiness of the backfield, I think that you're going to be disappointed until he claims the role. So to me, it's just like, do I want to use a fourth round pick there? That feels a bit steep for me. Dynasty, yeah, no question. He was my RB2 in Dynasty, but like fourth round for a guy in a split backfield like that, like, I don't know. That one's harder for me to just kind of make that call.
If you would have just stayed away from Kamara, it would have been perfect, man.
Yeah, no. Here's the thing. So, like, when you talk about, and Hampton's one of those that has risen the boards, right? Like, when you like, Hampton is being drafted before Kamara. He's being drafted before Chase Brown. He's being drafted before Chuba Hubbard, before James Cook, before Joe Mixon, James Conner. Like, you know, and as we get down that list, obviously it's a little bit more desperate, you know, space there. But, like, are you taking him over Chase Brown? Are you taking him over Chuba?
Me personally, probably Chuba, not Chase Brown.
Fair enough. Hey, real quick, I missed something in the chat. Big Draft Energy is being the anti and saying I'm taking the under on Evans and also calling for a regression on Baker. He will have a new OC, so we shall see. It's not a bad take.
Well, the other thing with Baker, too, is if you look at his touchdown percentage, he was in the 7% like range. So historically, quarterbacks that have had that high of a touchdown percentage tend to drop off a pretty sizable amount the next year. So I do think that you have that. Disco just mentioned in the chat as well, they are having this issue with Worth. So it's like, what's going to happen with the left tackle? That not only is a concern from the Baker perspective and the passing offense, but like, what does that do for Bucky Irving as well? I know that he's more of a pass protector, but he's obviously going to be better than whoever the backup is in the run game as well. So it's like that could really be a big blow for that offense. Anytime that you have players in the offseason that are already worried about injuries, like they're people that I prefer not to draft. I can't take them off my board, but when it's already before the season starts, like, hey, like this guy isn't looking too good. And he was banged up all season last year too. It was like he was having all these problems. There's a lot of skepticism on like why he didn't get the knee scope sooner so he could be ready. But I mean, knee surgery isn't fun from experience, so I get it.
Yeah. We got a few more comments in the chat there. Keep an eye on Vidal sneaking in as a backup, possibly.
Get out of here with that. Kamani Vidal. Yeah. Everybody and their mother last year was, Kamani Vidal's going to take over the backfield. He's better than Dobbins. He's better than this. He's practically Jesus. And what did he do? Nothing. He's a bum. There's a reason he was drafted when he was, and he's not ever going to be a thing. Stop trying to make Kamani Vidal a thing.
Say it with your chest.
David's got a. We haven't really seen a lot of him now.
Because he sucks.
Oh, what a hater, Joe!
I'm a certified hater.
Show.
I'm a certified hater.
Well, all right, Seth. Just get us past the haterade over here.
So I'm going with narrative on my second pick. When I'm thinking 6th, 7th round, I'm looking for value. I'm looking for production, and this pick really is for Dr. Harwood too, the commissioner of the SBFFC. Check out the link to join and maybe face off against me or get body slammed by me. It's your call. One hurts a lot less than the other. But I'm going to go with Tony Pollard, and simply because of the narrative. He had a 1,000-yard season last year. He caught somewhere in the 40 to 45 range on target or on receiving. And the thing about it is, I think the narrative last year was, well, Tajay Spears. I think Spears got overdrafted a little bit last year. Pollard came in, and he was still productive in that role. But the other thing about it, too, I think going in, I think people are afraid because the Titans just sucked. They were bad. And I think that the argument against that is, well, they sucked last year, too. And Tony Pollard was still a guy that was productive in that offense, and you can get a RB1 on a bad team later in the draft and still get great production for your fantasy team.
No, it's there. Pollard's possible. I can't answer. I can't talk about this question. I am partial. I work down the street from Tony Pollard's folks barbecue restaurant. I go in there and grab a barbecue sandwich every now and then. He's
you can't say nothing bad. They'll spit in your food.
Royalty. Gotta support my guy. We still believe in you. Help the Titans be relevant again. Nashville needs hope. Tennessee needs hope. I like Tony Pollard. I think there's a lot of potential there. I think that Cam Ward will open up that game a lot. I'm interested to see how that offense pans out. But Tony Pollard's later in that range. He's probably closer to the 9. Yeah. And so when you get in around 8 and 9, you have a shot at somebody that could have significant starting capabilities, right? Somebody that could, in fact, have a handle on the reins for the offense. You got to roll with it, right? You got to give it a shot. So I love that take, Seth. Real quick, hit this. Anytime somebody does a super chat, we want to get to that question immediately just to support our listeners. Make sure you like and hit that subscribe button. But we got Meatball coming in a start 11, half-point PPR, half-point first down bonus. I have Najee and Hampton. It's an inherited team, not deep. Would you be good starting both Harris and Hampton in the same week? What's your take, Matt? You were high on trying to get Hampton, so he's got Hampton and Najee. Can you do the running back duo? Can you do a Gibbs and Monty type thing? With Najee and Hampton and win?
I wouldn't want to bet the farm on it. I think that because of the disclaimer there at the end where you said the team is not deep, then I think it's safe. If the team's deep, you're really just betting on is the Chargers running game going to be more effective than the defense that's trying to stop it? So I think it's almost like a streaming type of a vibe there. Are they playing a bad run defense? If they're playing a bad run defense, I don't think it's a bad pick at all. However, I don't like investing the rookie and the handcuff in the same starting lineup. I think it's cool that you got both. I wouldn't do two, but because you're not deep, I think it's a safer bet than otherwise.
Yeah, again, Tony Pollard should get a lift from the Titans improving. Cam Ward getting a lot of Tony Pollard love here in the chat. So there's your answer, Mike. Meatball. There's a possibility there. I don't like it as much as Gibbs and Monty. If you're looking for that kind of production, I wouldn't. That's probably not going to happen. But you do have two very capable running backs. Hopefully Najee can just learn to run straight. That's all we need Najee to do is learn how to run straight. He tries to dance too much, and he's not a dancer. That's my only hit on Najee. But
the hard part too is that not that Hampton isn't a capable receiver because he had 38 receptions last year. It's just they kind of have a redundant role in the offense. So it's not like Gibbs and Pollard where it's like, Gibbs is going to be PPR. Monty probably gets a lot of the goal line work. There's a lot of redundancy between the two of them. And then to go back to the question that you popped up real quick, going back to the Titans, it was saying, so can Cam Ward be Stroud from 2 years ago or Daniels from last year? Maybe, but I don't think that he's somebody that I would be drafting. Daniels last year was enticing because he had that rushing upside kind of. You expected him to run because he was capable of doing that previously. Stroud kind of hit people out of nowhere. I don't think it's bad to have that as a dart throw, but to me, that would be like if he balls out week 1 priority waiver pickup, but I wouldn't add a second QB in Cam Ward and 12 1 QB redraft.
Yeah. Ward to me follows much more of a Stroud type, narrative. Like he's not a big runner. Like he doesn't have legs like Jaden.
He did it in Miami.
Like Jaden,
didn't have it in Miami.
He has no legs like Jaden, dude. Not like Jaden. He has legs like Stroud, but he don't got legs like Jaden.
He had 120 rush attempts in 2023 for Washington State. He will run the ball.
That's
and if
when
you
he
look
was young and he was learning the position of quarterback.
But you can't say that he won't do it because he'll run.
He won't do it.
We'll see.
No, hey, look.
How's their offensive line? How's their offensive line? Because I think when you're looking at a rookie quarterback that can run like that, a lot of this is going to be conducive on is he having time in the pocket to actually make the decision to throw. A lot of these guys on bad teams, they're immediately thrown into the wolves, and the ones that fail are usually the ones that can't handle when the offensive line is not all there. But because he has that athleticism, I think that's where you could see the I know you hate it, but that's what I think he can potentially become. Is he's the guy that can he escape that first sack attempt and get 5 or 6 yards and keep the chains alive.
So I'm not a PFF guy talking about things that I'm a hater of. It's a very long list, by the way. They have Tennessee as the 24th best offensive line. I do think that their offensive line, but yeah, so I mean, it's not going to be great.
All right, well, we're about to move on to the next section. Seth, man, appreciate you for dropping the knowledge this part of the show. Mike Evans, Tony Pollard, you heard it. And also go to SBFFC.com and sign up for the tournament so that you can go be body slammed by Seth as he knocks you out.
That's enticing to me. If I didn't know where it was being located, I would have thought it was in Buffalo acting like that. But it was great having you, Seth. Clear ball knower. So thanks a lot.
We appreciate you. And we're going to bring on.
Hey, guys, I appreciate you.
Go ahead, Seth.
Oh, I was going to say thanks for having me on. And anybody that is watching this, listening to this, that has not checked out the SBFFC or you're not sure about it, great event. Once a year, a lot of camaraderie. I have brothers that I see once a year, and it's all because of that event. And the cash is good, so give me my money.
Could you imagine a body slam off between Seth and Disco?
That'd be crazy.
It'd be insane.
All right, Seth, appreciate you. We're gonna bring in a previous SBFFC champion and Sir Steve Karowski. What's up, Steve? Welcome to the show.
How's it going, guys?
What's up, Steve?
Yeah, great commentary. You had fun listening to the first 30 minutes.
Awesome. Got a big draft energy, body slams. He's down. He's
enough said.
Enough said. It's like, okay, everybody go to the SBFFC tournament. We have an absolute knockdown drag out that is going to happen. That is going to be something you will not want to be. Like you thought.
I couldn't bet against my guy Disco either. I mean, I'm just saying. Disco's my 101. Like, talk about people you can't leave the draft without. In the Body Slam Bowl, he's 101, like, easy.
All right, so look, Steve, SBFFC, previous champion, welcome to the show. We're going to get into this next segment, which we're going to cover the gambles. This is where we roll the dice. These are the deep players with possibility. The people that, like you look at a McLaurin last year, falling all the way down to like round 14. You look at the year before, Curtis Samuel going in round 17, and leading your team. There's so many people that you can grab that will change the dynamic, especially as you get late in the season. And that's what we're getting. And Steve, from being in the SBFFC, your league can be won by one waiver claim or one drafting one of these guys and letting him sit on your bench till you get to the second half of the season. As a previous champion, do you have any of these that you recall that's done really good for you? Or just, even when you won, did you have somebody like that just appeared out of nowhere for your team?
Well, I'll tell you something funny. My name's Steve Korowski. The year I won, I drafted Rob Gronkowski and Steven Goskowski. And my team name was Chudnovsky. So I thought that was pretty ironic. Back when I won the SBFFC, it was the second year and there were 60 teams competing. Now we're up to 256 or 254.
264.
264. It's pretty incredible. My cash payout was around 2,500 for that. It's over 10 grand now. And that's just for the main event alone. People, I draft 7. I go down there and I draft 7 drafts in 2.5 days. It's all you do, draft, eat, drink a little bit.
But I talked to Brian, and my understanding is it's not just first place 10,000. There's all kinds of ways you can win. There's a total of over $56,000 in payouts for a 256-man tournament. So if you ain't signed up, if you ain't doing anything, the second weekend or was it the third weekend in August? Second weekend in August, the 15th.
It's technically the third weekend because the first is on Friday.
If you're not doing anything, SBFFC.com, sign up. It's going to be a killer tournament. And we're going to dive into our gambles right after this video so you guys can get another look at what the SBFFC is all about. Psych, wrong.
Looking to take your fantasy football experience to the next level? The Southern Bluegrass Fantasy Football Championship, or SBFFC, is the premier live in-person single-entry tournament east of Las Vegas and is happening in Bowling Green, Kentucky, just north of Nashville and south of Louisville. Join fantasy football diehards for a 2-day draft weekend filled with energy, competition, and community. Expect free beer, bourbon, barbecue, and live entertainment hosted by the Western Kentucky University Dance Team. You'll draft on massive FJFantasy.com boards, enjoy giveaways, and even have a chance to win signed memorabilia and bourbon bottles through raffles and a silent auction. The SBFFC is securely managed through LeagueSafe.com, with all prize money held and paid out at the end of the season and championship round. Winners walk away with stunning Trophy Smack trophies and belts, and of course, lifelong bragging rights. To learn more, check out the official promo video on YouTube and click to visit SBFFC.com for full details. For questions or to reserve your spot, email Dr. Brian Harwood directly at brian.harwood@twc.com.
Awesome, man. So make sure you go check that out. Let's get into it. Let's get into the deep grabs, the sleeper candidates. We got BHS Cardinal 16 in the chat. I need to know these sleepers. So Steve, previous SBFFC champion, going after it again. Who is your number one deep grab, high upside, risk, but all the reward that you're leaning into going into the season?
Right. The way I look at this is the SPFAC starting lineup is 8 positions. Quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 X spots. So anything after that is just free fill-in for you during your bye weeks or if you hit big. So depending on what list you're looking at or whatever, I like Cooper Kupp. The early list I printed off had him in the 11th round. He might be going a little bit higher or whatever, but I like him to still prove to the league and his old team that, he's still worth something.
You still think he got some juice in him?
Yeah, and I mainly say that because when Stephon Diggs moved on from Minnesota, he might have been younger or whatever, but these guys who end up on new cities, for the new fan base, I think they want to prove something. And so I'm thinking Cooper Kupp for at least the first year in Seattle, might be worth something if you can get that value.
I don't hate. I mean, every year there's these talented guys. They get dropped way back because they're aged or they had a previous injury, and you end up getting them so late. Like I'm in my Scott Fishbowl draft. We are in double-digit rounds, and Cup's hanging in there. I mean, he'll probably be there around 13 or 14. That's a good take, and they need receivers. They let Lockett go. They let DK go. So it's JSN and Cup and hopes and prayers, So I love it, Steve. Matt, who's your number one on your list?
All right, it feels gross. You guys ready to get disgusting? James Conner, Arizona Cardinals running back. I know everybody thinks that this is going to be the year that Trey Benson takes over, and I completely understand why. The roster situation is the grenade in the hand. I just believe they're going to throw the grenade. It's not going to explode. He had Trey Benson had high draft capital. He was a third round, second pick in the third round. He is going to get better. He is going to be more involved. But I don't believe he is going to be so involved that James Conner cannot be a low-end RB2, high-end RB3 on your roster. Nobody covets aging running backs. He is Football Guys consensus running back 19. So you're going to get a little bit of a value there. It's a low cost. He is steady Eddie. He's not sexy. You have to kind of take some of the boring plays, the 1 yard, 2 yard, hits the back of the lineman and falls down plays. That sucks. Nobody likes watching that. But what I love watching is when it's second and goal and he's going through the line. He's not flashy, but he can have those weeks that are 10, 15 points that will not lose the game for you. When you're getting and you're looking for the gambles, you have to find the guys that have the floor that won't lose the week with the upside that could potentially win the week. And I think that because the Cardinals offense is so weird at best, I think that James Conner is a safe option for this team. And while it does feel like a trash pick, I do have a tendency to be a fantasy raccoon. So I'm all in on James Conner as my first gamble. Don't snipe me, guys.
I feel like my biggest beef with them is saying that he's not sexy. Like respect James Conner. I don't know, man. He's shifty. And have you ever seen that dude's back? Like, dude's back is like as wide as my desk.
Time out. We can't. This is not where the conversation's going. We're not talking about James Conner's back.
You haven't seen the picture. Clearly, it's insane.
I haven't.
And
you have to. It's legit. Like, this
is like all the thigh pictures, like when Mike Davis was with the Falcons, and there's the giant thigh pictures.
That dude's ADP went up 4 rounds because of the quad pick.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. So if you want to make sure that that somebody that you don't want climbs the draft boards, just get pictures of their thighs, and then 4 round up. Boom, got it. No, that's James Conner is the definition when healthy of Mr. Consistent. Mike said 100% about Conner. He has such a safe floor. Now, I do think that this is a year where we could see a little bit more of Benson than we got last year. But I love the take. I mean, he is consistent, and you are going to get him late because that is the narrative. People are looking for Benson to start, making his way in, right? Like, so that's a good take. The fantasy raccoon bar was good.
I was proud of that, so I appreciate that.
Off the cuff. All right, Joe, give us a deep must grab.
This is crazy because I'm actually a hater about this player, but I think that the upside is worth it. So I think a caveat of about what I'm about to say is that if you are in these later rounds and you are drafting players that are going to be like the wide receiver 3 for their team, they might have like a one nice week. Like, you're drafting wrong, in my opinion, right? So I will draft 1 quarterback, I will draft 1 tight end, and then they're probably going to be like in the 9th, 10th round. And then after that, I already have 3 or 4 running backs, 3 or 4 wide receivers. So it's like that's my team, and everything else is a lottery ticket, right? Because it doesn't matter if a guy can score 8 points every week. right? It's not going to do anything. They're never going to see the lineup. They're just a roster clogger that's not doing a whole lot. So go for guys that could potentially be a number one option on their team. So a guy that I'm going to be targeting like in those like 10th, 11th rounds, give me Keon Coleman. He's going to be the second-year receiver for Buffalo, right? I don't see it in Keon Coleman. He had a poor contested catch rating. If you saw the video from him a couple weeks ago, like they were talking about his route running, like it looked pretty rough. But he was turning a corner there a bit in the middle of the season. He had a 125-yard game at one point, and there's no real clear-cut number one option in Buffalo who's tied to one of the best quarterbacks in the league. We've seen Josh Allen support wide receiver ones. I don't know if he can be the guy, but let's find out and see. And if it's not working out, I can cut him, and that's an easy cut for me. I won't lose sleep about it. So it's like, see what you got. You're getting him late. He's not going to be in your lineup week one, but if you're talking about longevity and people that are going to be a risk that could win big, you're not losing your league because you draft Keon Coleman in the 10th round, right? So it's like, take the risk. If he pops, then you've got something big. Personally, I would probably trade him off. But, like, who else? Like, Khalil Shakir, he is at best, and I say this with the most respect because in his prime he was solid, he's Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley is never going to be this like dominant alpha wide receiver. He's a good player. He has a role on that team, but he's not going to be a wide receiver one in fantasy. It's just not going to happen. Coleman could be that guy. So let's see it.
You know who I would rather have than Coleman in that offense?
Kincaid?
No.
Then no, I'm out of Ray Davis.
I love Ray Davis, but he is not the one I'm looking for.
I'm out of ideas.
Joshua Palmer. Lock it in.
Josh Palmer, man. People talk about Joshua Palmer for many years.
Joshua Palmer steadily performed when it came his way. You put him in an offense where there is no clear-cut one, I promise you will get better than freaking round 18, round 20 pick production out of him. Everybody said the same thing when Curtis Samuel went there, but Josh Palmer can actually do what they need Keon Coleman to do.
Is this Elijah Moore erasure?
Say what?
Is this Elijah Moore erasure?
No.
Tyler, I feel like there was Coke and Pepsi on the table, and you're like, no, I'd prefer RC Cola. That's what I feel like that take was just now.
That's okay. I'm good. Look. Here's the thing. These takes are about free people. You know, like free players that can win you your league. And I promise you, by the end of the season, Matt, we will have you back on, and you will go, dude, where the heck did Josh Palmer come from?
I was wrong. I'll happily say it.
All I know is my take was so good that somebody just lit off fireworks. So,
well, it was that was the Christian Kirk take that hit the chat. Christian Kirk getting some love. Steve, your point on Cups getting some love. Let's see. Kincaid, healthy and stronger Kincaid, lead Buffalo, great tight end. I like Kincaid. I'm not hating on Kincaid. They just still need a wide receiver. And, Coleman was actually on my bust list coming out because, he went to Florida State. He wasn't an amazing route runner. And it was a complete change in the way he had played football. Like, you go play football in Miami, you don't know what the cold is. He'd get to Buffalo, and then they start trying to throw him in the ice box, and he's like, nah, but I'll wear this bubble jacket. I'm like, bro, you ain't going to do it.
I love Keon Coleman. I love Keon Coleman, the person. Did you see the video of him just like randomly naming NBA players from like the 2000s? The Bills tried to do like one of the videos. They're like, name a random basketball player. And he sat there for 5 minutes with the whole team. Like, people would come over, and then they would just start having battles of like random players. Like, he's such a great guy. Like, I don't see it on the field, but like, I want him to be successful.
I'm with you. I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
You can hate it. It's fun. Say
what?
I said, you can hate it. I don't care. From one hater to another, you can hate it. It's fine.
I will say this is like one of the I feel like in our reign of doing shows together, this is probably the most we've disagreed in a show and like had a little bit of that.
Yeah, we'll hug it out after. We'll take care of it in the post.
You're still my boy, Blue. No, all right. So look, you got a little love, David Tate. Love Coleman in best ball. There you go, Joe.
I suck at best ball. That's why I listen to Big Draft Energy, so you can help me out. Him and
Can I-
Sleaze, man.
Can I do a shout out to David Tate? He comes down to SBFFC every year.
Oh, awesome. Well, then he already knows. Make sure SBFFC.com. Go sign up. $10,000 first prize. Steve, I've debated. I might try to come for that money. I feel like that's unfair, but it's like, who can turn down money? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
No, I'm
Look
just
at
kidding.
this shirts on his wall, Steve. You got this in the bag.
Yeah.
Right, but he needs to come down.
Hold up a second. There's only one shirt on my wall that's a little bit questionable. Okay, but that's fine. No, so okay, let's keep going. We got about 10 minutes left in the show. I want to make sure we get to some more deep sleepers. Steve, who's your number 2 you think has significantly high upside that's being drafted late?
I don't know about late, but I'm going to go with Ricky Pearsall, San Francisco. And this goes back to what Matt Monty was talking about with George Kittle. Is I like to look at stuff that most guys I talk to don't even know exists, and I look at a chart every year of net rest edge days, which means like San Francisco has +8 rest days over their opponent each week, or a random given week or whatever. I think that matters. Like Las Vegas is at the bottom of that list with -19, and Detroit's +13, and San Francisco sits at +8. And also, I saw something where they have the best turnaround strength of schedule.
Yeah, they have the easiest schedule in the league this year. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I like to think of those things are just tools for you to look at it. It may not win your league or whatever, but it's just a tool for you to look at. And so I'm going all in on San Francisco 49ers players if you can get them at value. So don't overdraft them, but if you can get somebody like Ricky Pearsall, who Deebo Samuel's not there anymore, he had a very good week 17 and 18 last year. So I'm gambling on that.
Anybody that can get shot and play football after is a winner in my book. So give me the Brian Robinson Pearsall stack.
I don't hate the Pearsall take. They're still looking, and he really started to come on towards the end of the season. It could easily be a significant possibility that I don't think he leads Kittle, but that he leads the receivers in production in that offense. So I love it. Good one, Steve, and appreciate the stat carry too. Some of these little factors we don't look at. We don't look at things a lot often about look at depth of target. We don't look at their how many, even the percentage number of targets they get, or how they perform in any given position. When teams try to play people out of position, right? That totally inhibits their production. I love it. I love the deeper look at the game. Matt, who is your number 2?
Aaron Jones, running back for the Minnesota Vikings. The quarterback situation there is sketchy at best. Do you guys remember when everybody loved J.J. McCarthy? Do you remember when all the good press was going on and he was
Not
the next
me.
thing?
Certified J.J. hater.
Yep, I'm a J.J. hater as well, and I am a very big Sam Darnold fan, so very excited for him in Seattle. Kind of bummed.
Whoa. Hold on. Hit the mute. Hold on. Mute.
Bring it on.
You were the
boys.
guy. You were the guy in Dynasty that I am selling Darnold to right now, because we know with that bad offensive line, by week 5 he's going to be half broken, and we're going to be getting Jalen Milroe, which we all want to see happen.
Yes.
In that offense.
I call Sam Darnold Pac-Man because he's always seeing them ghosts.
Remember this. Would you rather have J.J. McCarthy, unproven, no snaps, with a lot of weird training camp, OTA stuff, or Sam Darnold when you saw what you got last year? I'm of the mindset that you would rather have the Sam Darnold thing, and I think we're going to see that McCarthy isn't Darnold. Maybe not yet, as far as what Darnold's experience as a veteran in the league. And I also believe that this team as a whole, because of this transition, is going to take a step back. And I believe they could be in the toughest division in the NFL with the Lions, Bears, and Packers taking up 6 of their games. So I think because of this, and the fact that Aaron Jones is probably the third or fourth best option on this offense, that he's going to get pass catching opportunities because he is going to get one-on-one coverage in passing opportunities. And if the quarterback is not as good, I could see them leaning on the run game. I can see him being a safety net for J.J. McCarthy. And I just don't believe he's going to command attention from the defense. And if the defense is not worried about scheming against you, you're going to have more opportunities to score points. He's always been consistently good. He's like Alvin Kamara that you buy off of Temu. You know what you're kind of getting. You're not going to get a 6-touchdown explosion, but you've got that versatility at running back position that, okay, I'm going to get one game where I'm going to get 15 to 20, but I'm probably going to have a couple of games that are going to be like 6 and I'm going to be bummed about it. I think the upside outweighs the low with Aaron Jones, though.
That is amazing. Off Temu.
I've never bought anything.
That was Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold was the guy you bought off Temu, and then he goes to the Vikings, and we get relevance because they have an amazing offensive line and they have amazing weapons
and
they
a
have
great
an amazing coach. And so now he goes to Seattle, where it is a completely different situation. So for me, in Dynasty, he is a sale. In redraft, I'm not with you, Matt. I appreciate I can see it.
That's all right. I'm a bargain shopper.
Hey, I love the bargain shopping. I send my wife to Goodwill often. That's where I got my last
Yes, sir.
And you wouldn't even know it. All right, Joe. Drop number 2.
All right, man. So like I said, I don't like taking quarterbacks and tight ends early just because it makes me uncomfortable and I never like the look of my team. So I'm looking at quarterbacks outside of the top 12 in drafts, people that are drafted over the 100th pick. This guy slots in right now as QB 13. And this is actually a conversation that Tyler and I had before the show. So if we're looking at quarterbacks that I think that can pop, somebody that I don't think is getting enough love this year, and I think that's going to outperform ADP by quite a bit, is Dak Prescott. When Dak's been healthy and played all 16 games or whatever, he's been a top 10 or better quarterback every year. There's a lot of questions in Dallas about who's going to be the running back of choice. And honestly, I don't think it matters. I think everyone on that team sucks. So I don't think Javante's the guy. I don't think Miles Sanders is really doing all that good. Too drunk to take that chicken. And I don't think Jadon Blue is going to be worth the dang either. So for me, it's like, how are they going to move the ball? They're going to pass it to CD. They just acquired George Pickens. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot. The guy that's throwing the ball is going to be doing it, and it's going to be Dak. So to me, it's like, I can get Dak very late. Let's make it happen, and then pair him with somebody that has like a bit of rushing upside, or just drop him if you feel like you're not getting the production. But to me, you can get him for basically nothing. So let's ride with it. I think that he can be like the QB 6 to QB 8 in that range. And if you're looking at like best ball, he's a great stackable player.
Nice. Look, even Mike said equals winning stack. It's good. It's good. All right. So I'm actually gonna drop one that I've been taking in a lot of leagues, and typically I try to let our guests roll with the show, and I just kind of banter and go. But I think somebody that gives not quite McLaurin vibes, but that you can get in almost the last round of your draft this year. And I'm probably going to get laughed off the stage here, but I'm getting a lot of shares of DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh,
I know. See, look how we're so offended.
That?
Here's the thing. Follow me here. Here's the thing. Lamar last year threw over 4,000 yards. 40-plus touchdowns. He only ran for 4. They're trying to have him throw the ball more. What is the one type of receiver that Lamar has never had?
A good one?
History of playing, he's never had somebody that can go up and get it, somebody that can do the corner ball. You know what I'm saying? It's like he hasn't had that receiver. You know, he's making do with Zay Flowers, who's a great slot receiver, and he's making people like Rashad Bateman relevant again, right? Like it's so you give him somebody like that, and DeAndre Hopkins has got a bad rap because he went to Tennessee and he had a quarterback that couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, right? And then he goes to Kansas City, and it was probably one of the years that we've seen Mahomes struggle the most to get the ball to his receivers, and so and he's old, all this stuff, but I think he could easily, when you're talking about like round 19, round 20.
Listen, man, if you have a 20-round draft in a redraft league, you just need to shorten your bench. Okay.
So like, let's go round 17 possibilities, right? Like, a previous number one wide receiver, somebody that's worked out hard all off season. You don't think that he could give you round 7 to 10 value when you think about draft? I do. I mean, shoot, all he has to do is go for like 750 yards and 7 touchdowns.
There's no way.
Look, if he got 750 and 7 touchdowns, you look like a savant.
Put it on the board, baby. Put it on the board. There's no way.
I think
put it on the board.
403.
It's going on the board.
Put it on the board.
No,
this is like the geriatric version of fantasy football talk.
We talk
up Mike Evans,
no
Cooper
Hopkins,
Kupp.
please, love you, Tyler. But look, at the end of this,
DeAndre Hopkins.
If I could count the amount of times that I got crap for takes and then it ended up resurfacing, it would be crazy.
You said 750 yards and 7 touchdowns.
I'm in.
And I can run a 4.4.
Hey, look, we will revisit it when I, you know what? We will let it go. I will digress.
Let me remind the people that I too have a belt.
It ain't like this one, baby.
It's not. I got this one on Amazon. It's nice.
Got the winged eagle?
Look, we're talking about, here's the key, guys. And this is, the whole portion of the show. See, look, I kind of like Hopkins last round. Me too. Hopkins will be available on waivers. Like it's literally free, right?
Right.
And when you talk about like you're grabbing somebody like you're grabbing Tyler Lockett, hoping that he's going to produce more. You're grabbing players like you're grabbing deep tight ends that you think are going to produce more. Like it's crazy. Like what you're trying to do in these late round grabs is these are pot shots, right? Like,
yep.
And if I'm trying to get somebody that I think can actually be relevant in producing, why not somebody with a resume? I mean, that's like, is Nick Chubb a complete bust this year because of his injury and the fact, right? And so we're saying in the same realm that Nick Chubb can have a year alongside Joe Mixon because they're both half elderly, in running back terms, right? Like playing in the same offense, that they can both be productive. Why can't a DeAndre Hopkins be productive? Or we're talking about Cooper Kupp being productive coming off an injury-riddled year. They're like the same age. Actually, Hopkins may be younger than Kupp. You know what I mean? So it's like the key is looking for players with high upside. And it's not just older players. You can look at younger players too. You look at a Cedric Tillman. We're still waiting for wide receiver to emerge in the Browns offense. Like, sure, right now it's Jerry Jeudy, but is it really Jerry Jeudy, right? Like we're still waiting on some of these people to pop off. And I think there's an easy route to even like you look at a Jalen Wright. Jalen Wright is free. He's free. I
would much rather have Jalen Wright as my last pick than DeAndre Hopkins.
Right, because we know Devon A-Chain can't stay on the field. Like, we're going to get Jalen Wright, and Jalen Wright's going to be great. You need another deep grab? There you go. That one was free too.
Yeah,
go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, didn't Cade Otton help win 2 games last year for fantasy people?
Cade Otton helped a lot of people in a lot of leagues.
Cade Otton right now, it's crazy. Even in tight end premium leagues, Cade Otton is being drafted like at tight end, 18 or 20?
That's fine.
That's cheap.
I mean,
That's cheap.
they have 37 receivers and no left tackle.
Well, that's even better for Otten. Like,
Not if he has to stay in and block.
he's not going to stay in and block. He's not a blocker. They're going to get him out in the flats. But, either way, I digress. Again, point made in the fact that you need to be like right now is a great time to be looking at these teams and trying to find the people. Like when you look at your pick, 16, 17, 18 or 18, 19, 20, however long your league is, right? You want to target people that have upside. You're not drafting a safe player in those rounds. You already have your safe players. You already have your roster. You're trying to get somebody that by the second half of the season or any given week can give you the production you need. You need a bye week plug? Well, Marvin Mims catches 2 40-yard bombs. You need those players. That's who you're looking for. Or you're looking for somebody that emerges, right? And we see that every year, especially at the running back position. There is such an injury-riddled position. We see people that emerge, and it's always a waiver wire scramble. Keaton Mitchell, everybody get him. As soon as Joe Mixon acts up, it's going to be a literally riot to get Nick Chubb. Jordan Mason was mentioned in the chat. There's all kinds of players with high upside, especially rookies. Like if Pacheco gets hurt again, you better watch out. Brashard Smith's coming. Target those type of players. Don't waste it on trying to get somebody that's not. Grab Keenan Allen late. He's not. We don't know where he's going to play yet, but we know if he plays, he's going to be decent.
Don't do that. I'm not with that one. I'm not with that one. You had me, man.
I know. Look, these are high upside plays. They are all risk, but they're also all reward, right?
There's room for Keenan Allen on your bench at SBFFC 20 rounds deep.
There you go. There you have it. Hey, thank you for tuning in tonight. It's been a pleasure. Steve, absolute pleasure having you on the show. Matt, man, the puns, the Temu comment, the trash raccoon. We got to have you on again. Absolutely entertaining. And Joe, you're my guy.
I love you, baby.
But we appreciate you. We're here every Friday night, 9:00 Central from the forum. Always a good time. We'll see you next week. And make sure, SBFFC.com, go sign up. Chance to win $10,000. Peace.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com.